Balls. Hey, up me out. Craft Beer Basic here, coming at you even with another beer review. But this isn't going to be your average beer review. This is more a chance for me to shit on something that everybody likes, or liked. I don't know if people still like it or not. Yeah, so what have we got here? So we have got from House Mikella of Denmark, the Iron Anniversary IPA 5.5%. It is the 10th anniversary beer of Game of Thrones. Now, Game of Thrones was one of the worst television shows I've ever had the misfortune of watching in my life. The first series, okay. The first series was all right, yeah. It had Sean Bourne in it, and anything with Sean Bourne is always good, and you know he's going to die at the end as well, so that's always like a nice twist, because you think, oh, he might not die in this, you know, it might be like Silent Hill, he might survive. But I had read the book, I had read the first book, so I did kind of know he was going to die at some point or another. So I watched the first season, and yeah, it was all right. And then I watched the second season, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I watched a bit of the third season, and I was like, oh God, this is so dog shit. But more and more people just kept on watching it, and more people were like, it's the best thing. It's the best thing on TV. And they were using like phrases from it. Like if I have to hear one more fucking incel loser say something like, ooh, I drink and I know things. No, you know jack shit. Like the only thing you need to know is don't say that shit around me, you fucking loser, because Game of Thrones sucks and I don't want to hear that crap. And then people were sort of like, oh God, aren't the White Walkers terrifying? I don't know. I saw one in one episode and then never saw them again. But what I did see, it looked like a frail old man. I couldn't see how that could be any sort of threat. Like, then at one point there was Dragon Chick. She got some dragons that never seemed to do anything. Like, it was the most boring. It was like watching a rubbish soap opera with some shitty medieval porn thrown in there, presumably to appease the sort of loser nerd cucks that watch shit like that, and you know, whose parents have put porn blockers on the internet so they couldn't just watch pornography. It was absolutely one of the most boring things I've ever seen. Like, there was one good moment I remember. Like, there's this big I don't even know where he's from. Like, he marries Dragon Chick. So he's the guy who marries Dragon Chick, but he dies really early on. And that was when I was like, oh, there's no point watching this then, because the only good character in it's died. So Dragon Chick had like this whingy blonde brother or something like that. And I think he annoyed the big dude. Like, the big dude like looked like he must be related to The Rock in some way, shape or form. Like, he looks fucking badass. And so he gets this big pot of gold and he just empties it on this douchebag's fucking bonce, and it's the coolest thing I've seen in that show. I was sort of like, I can watch this. But like, I think that happened like 8 hours into the goddamn thing. So I'd already kind of checked out. And that was the season I liked, and I'd already checked out. So he was cool. Then there was like Emo Knight, who looked after a wall or something like that to stop these little frozen white warriors or something like that. They were called White Wizards. I don't know. Yeah, it was so dog shit. And the worst thing about it as well is it was a fantasy show in the least fantastical universe I've ever seen. Like, is it Westeros? Westeros is called, isn't it? Yeah. Westeros is the worst place I've ever seen. Like, who the fuck would want to live there? Like, it's gross. Like, everyone's fighting each other. Everyone's banging each other, then killing each other. Everyone's related and banging. It's gross. Like, who writes a fantasy show about shit like that? As in, you know, I didn't see a single hobbit in there at any point. Like, I assumed it's the same universe, but it was just like, there were just humans and like a couple of dragons. Like, it was one of the most boring shows I've ever seen in my entire life. And shame on any of you who watched it. Actually, I tell you what, there was one part which I might have caught later. There's this little person fella. He shoots some guy who's taking a shit with a crossbow. Like, that part was pretty badass, because like any scene with someone on the toilet is always funny. Yeah, so he just like shoots this dude. Like, that was cool. Yeah, so yeah, Game of Thrones sucked. And the thing that I like most about it now is that it ended badly and everyone hated it. And everyone like committed, what, like 8 years of their lives to watch this shit? And it ended badly and everyone was annoyed. And that's the one thing that I like about Game of Thrones, is that it annoyed you all for being so shit. And that makes me feel so happy. So, yeah, that went on a long time, didn't it? That went on a long time. And I only really paid attention during one season of it. There was that, who was that big fella as well? And people are sort of like, oh God, wasn't it sad that like he's something about a door? Like, oh God, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a shit about this goddamn door. Okay, so, yeah, this is a New England IPA, I believe. Beer is life, live it, that's a nice thing. Good little design on the can though. Credit where credit's due. That bird, crow, and crow's got 3 eyes. I think I remember something about that from the show. A crow having 3 eyes, and some little fella, not the little fella from the crossbow, but there was another little fella who was a kid, so he wasn't really a fella, who couldn't walk because he fell off a castle or some shit. He was on the door guy's back and he could turn into a bird or something like that. I don't know. It was so shit. It was so dog shit. I'll tell you who else was a good character, actually. She was as close to a good guy as the show could get, and she became like a badass assassin, and she had this little sword that she like stabbed people with. She was cool. I didn't like her. Sansa? Arya, I think it was Arya. She was Sean Bourne's daughter, and I think she was Sean Bourne's daughter. Yeah, it was stupid. It was such a stupid show. Well, anyway, so we'll let's sup a Bronson, shall we? So let's pour this. Now, Mikkeller aren't really a brewery that do much for me, if I can be honest with you. The Imperial Stouts of theirs that I've had have all been fantastic, so I do like their Imperial Stouts. But their IPAs, they're all right. They're all right. That's it. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not expecting much. I think I paid like £8 for this beer just so I could rant about Game of Thrones for a few minutes. Which, if you've probably all heard my shit takes on Game of Thrones and everything. Anyway, so I'm just gonna have a little sip of this and then should I chug it? Should I chug it? Do you want to see a chug? No one's got this far. No one's got 8 minutes in. No one's got 8 minutes in. So that's pleasant enough. A little bit watery. A little bit of stone fruit in there. Nice little bit of hops coming through. It's an instantly forgettable beer. That's yeah, it's all right. It's all right. But it was worth it, so I could shit on you Game of Thrones cucks for a couple of seconds. So yeah, happy Friday night. I don't have a laptop anymore, so I can't do thumbnails or shit for this, so it's just going to be a bog standard thing that's come up. But you don't care, do you? No one cares. No one's watching. So yeah, happy Friday night, and I'll get another one up on Sunday. Even though this beer was just drinkable, you can get it from Brew Cavern. So I'll post a link to Brew Cavern in the comments. I'll probably post a link to Mikkeller or something like that. If you liked this video, which I highly doubt, you know, click like if you want. Click subscribe. Yeah. Well, anyway, thanks for watching. Yeah. Game of Thrones sucks. Yeah. See you later. Have a good one in a bit.